welcome to the program Republican Congressman John Rose of Tennessee. He's a member of the House Financial Services and Agriculture Committees. Congressman Rose, great to have you. Thank you.
Anna, thanks for having me today.
So Libby just laid this out for us. What do you make of the new agreement between Venezuela and the United States? Does this mark a change in the relationship that we have with Venezuela's controversial president, Nicolas Maduro?
Well, I hope so. It is encouraging that they will take back their citizens that have come to the United States. And so I think it's a step in the right direction.
All right. Let's move to this. More Tesla protests are scheduled for next week with a global day of action. So this one's on the calendar, and they're trying to pick up speed. It follows a week filled with packed town halls with lawmakers on both sides of the aisle facing fired-up constituents. What are you hearing from your community?
You know, Tennesseans are excited about what President Trump is doing. That's why they overwhelmingly voted for him last fall, with him laying out his progressive vision for restoring the greatness of America. And so what I'm hearing from my constituents is that they're excited to see the president having rolled up his sleeves and gone to work. And they're grateful that Elon Musk is offering his expertise to help the president implement that agenda and, frankly, get the federal government under control.
Is anybody asking you when all their costs of living are going to go down?
Well, I think we saw the most recent inflation report seeing inflation easing, and I think the policies that President Trump has put in place, like an all-of-the-above energy policy, we already see some relief at the pump, and I think we're going to see more in the days ahead. And so I think Americans and Tennesseans in particular are savvy and smart, and they know it takes time for these things to have an impact. And I think they're willing to give the president, because of his track record of his first term in office, they understand that the president's policies work, and they're willing to give him time to implement them.
Yeah, and look, egg prices at least have come down a little bit. People getting some relief if you like the omelets. And we often think that the president has this magical dial that he turns up prices up and down no matter who's in office. And we know that really isn't the case anyway. Let's move on to this. Trump is posting on Truth Social today. He's up. Maybe he's watching us right now. He wrote, "I just watched our great Republican congressman from North Carolina, Chuck Edwards, hold a town hall in Asheville. He was a total gentleman, but the room was littered with radical left lunatics, mostly Democrats, and all they did was scream, shout, and use filthy language. They were largely paid agitators with fake signs and slogans and were only there to make trouble." So how does the president know, and do you agree? How does he know that these are paid agitators?
Well, I think that's very obvious. As a Trump conservative myself and as an outsider, when you're at these types of events and you know who the real people are and who the ones are that have come in to agitate. And so these are progressive Democrats who are, have, frankly, selective memory, and they're trying to create an impression of unhappiness that's just not in sync with what we hear from the real voters in our district.
All right, let's move on to this. Pushing back against Elon Musk is a main part. We've got Senators Bernie Sanders, the Fighting Oligarchy Tour. According to Senator Sanders, they have seen more than 86,000 people show up this week alone during their southwestern leg of this tour that they're doing. Should Republicans be paying attention to this, do you think? I've heard some in the conservative media kind of making fun of the name of it and sort of brushing it aside, but it seems like they've really struck a nerve. They do seem to be gathering quite big crowds about these issues.
Well, I think these progressive Democrats that you see coming out, I think this is selective outrage, and they have selective hearing if they think this is reflective of what the American people think. And so I think what you see here is or organized demonstrations by the progressive left and a selective outrage that's being aimed at Elon Musk. And it's a little bit ironic because I guess now progressive Democrats are against electric vehicles, and they want to see us return to relying on internal combustion engines as they burn up electric cars. So this is an organized violence that I think is beneath Americans. We all appreciate protest, but when you see this destruction of other people's property and the violence that is being propagated by the Democrats and the progressive Democratic activists here, I think it's very disappointing for America.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.